afternoon. Welcome to Cup of Joe with Boilerdowd. I'm your host. Mom, thanks for watching. Purdue failed in its attempt to become Big Ten tournament champions yesterday in Midwest capital, New York City, of course. A lot of people, some of them maybe not a lot different than you, think that maybe they did actually peak in that last Michigan game back in January, in that very well played game in which Purdue just barely beat Michigan. I think it was 92-88. Offense was awesome in that game. Purdue's defense looked quite good at times too. They had stops when they need to have them. Michigan really wasn't able to do what it wanted to do. Even though they scored a lot of points, they weren't able to force the issue. In this game, the game in Madison Square Garden, they were able to control the pace of the game. It was a tough one to watch. Not only did Purdue lose by 9, it really wasn't a 9-point game. Purdue probably could have lost by as many as 20, it felt like, and was down by, I think, 16 or 18 points late into the second half. They had a big deficit in the first half. They kind of shrunk it down a little bit. But some of the problems that we've seen over and over and over, Michigan really exploited them. Granted, Beilein's a great coach. I said that coming in that I didn't think it would be very easy to beat a Michigan team, a third time coached by him. He is one of the best adjustment coaches in America. There's no doubt about that. You can't discount that. But Purdue simply looked like it didn't compete. That's the thing that's tough to swallow, I think, for a lot of Purdue fans. Also, if you look back, since the winning streak ended, Purdue's only 2 quote-unquote quality wins are versus the same Penn State team. So if you go by just kind of the idea of transitive property, or whoever you beat is all that really matters, Purdue is really only a 3rd place, 4th place team in a conference that's not very good this year. That's tough to swallow. I know it's not fair to say that Purdue isn't good just because they lost to Ohio State and Michigan State and now Michigan in the last 10 games. That's not the entire story of the season, but it seems to be the news story of this season. We saw the injured Vince Edwards really didn't have enough to push through the pain. Painter looked like he chewed on him pretty hard and questioned a little bit of Vince's effort. Edwards simply wasn't on yesterday. I think he finished with around 4 points. Not a good game for Vince. Dakota Mathias didn't play well. PJ Thompson continues not to play well. Isaac Haas played pretty darn well. He played hard. Had 23 points. Didn't make a lot of the shots that you'd like to see him make. Didn't make all his free throws that you'd like to see him hit. But Carson Edwards played pretty poorly, and that's kind of maybe the biggest deal is if Carson Edwards isn't playing well right now, these Boilers kind of stink. And that's really hard to say, but it's kind of true. Let's look at the Purdue seniors. A lot of people have been trying to come up with a nickname of something to remember these guys by because they have been a special class and they've done some really good things. But you could call them like the Fantastic Four, and I called them like the Thundercats or Voltron. Voltron was the one I was thinking of because they came together to form something better than they were individually. Recently, they haven't formed much better together, if that makes any sense. Parts have showed up, right? At a given game, it seems to be like 2 seniors would show up and the other 2 wouldn't be effective. And I know that kind of happened during the winning streak a lot, but even then, let's say PJ Thompson, it wasn't his day to score 8-9 points. He would hit a couple key 3-pointers and not force anything else. Conversely, yesterday, you saw him miss a lot of shots. He wasn't really effective with the ball in his hands. He's not distributing the ball anymore. Dakota Mathias, I think, actually is the best pass-first player on the team, meaning he can distribute better than anybody. Yesterday, that wasn't the case. He was not distributing the ball very well. He wasn't shooting very well, and just didn't contribute very much as an end result. Vince Edwards, as we said, wow, that was the disappearing Vince Edwards player that has eaten us up so much here at Boiled Sports because, as you know, Anish loves Vince Edwards, and we like Vince Edwards. We don't want to paint a picture we don't like any of these guys, but we also are very, very aware of the thing that he does. When he just kind of isn't there, when he's not showing up, that's tough for Purdue. It's tough for him, and he wasn't there yesterday. He complained a lot about his ankle pain in the post-game comments, and his attitude wasn't great. It looked like a guy who seemed to be in a mood more to make an excuse for the way things were rather than to try to find a solution. He wouldn't talk about why he was pulled with 7 minutes left and didn't come back in the game. We all really know why he was pulled and why he didn't come in. He didn't look like the same guy. He was not playing as hard. He is needed to play hard. There's no doubt about it. This team needs him. This team needs every one of those guys to play hard. Nigel Eastern played great yesterday. He played more minutes than PJ Thompson. I think he ended with 11 points. He played very well. Ryan Klein continues to struggle mightily on defense. In the Big Ten tournament, he looked pretty rough defensively. Didn't take a lot of great shots. Didn't take many shots at all. So that's tough. Matt Harms, of course, was pretty quiet. This was not Purdue's best effort. This was the game that I think many of us thought they were kind of creeping towards the end of the season when they weren't playing great, and then they kind of got in a little bit of a rhythm versus some bad teams. But when they ran up against this good Michigan squad, it was a different ball game. So the question now is, have they peaked? That's the biggest question. And I think I was avoiding that question myself. I didn't really want to say, you know, they peaked too early, that sort of thing. But the question has to be in our heads, have they peaked? They're going to have 11 days or 10 days off to get healthy, to get rested, and to come back strong in the NCAA tournament. Now, will the committee give them a 2 or a 3 seed? For darn sure they're not a 1 seed, which is pretty sad. The opportunity was there for a long time. This team had multiple opportunities to become a 1 seed and to do some damage in the tournament. Does 1 to 2, the difference between 1 to 2 or even 3 matter all that much? I'd argue it's not that big of a deal, but the statistics back up that those number 1s simply go to the Final Four more than everybody else in the tournament. I think they go more than everybody else in the tournament combined, actually. Partially because those teams are usually the dominant teams, and part of that is because they have a nice path there. I want Purdue to have a good path, obviously, but I want them to get better. I want them to play like they're capable of playing and get that offensive rhythm back and then play hard-nosed defense. The lack of effort and the lack of heart is tough to swallow. And I would argue it's a really hard thing to swallow when you look at 4 seniors, again, they know what's on the line. They've been through this before, and it seems like they just weren't dialed in yesterday. I don't know if Painter tried to do much, but this is also a recurring theme with him. When Purdue loses games this season, it's a team effort, meaning players do it and coaches do it. And yesterday was really an indicator that everybody lost the game. There was no guy out there you said, wow, he did great, but Purdue lost. This team loses like a team and they win like a team. So they better get it through their heads that they better be dialed in the NCAA tournament because everybody wants a piece of them. There's no doubt about that. This has been a Boiled Sports Handsome Hour Quickcast brought to you by MartinVintage.com. Martin Vintage, where you get the Purdue t-shirts that are designed, produced by Purdue grads. MartinVintage.com. Enter Boiled at checkout for 20% off. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. We've got a little bit of a break until Selection Sunday, but that doesn't mean here at Boiled Sports we won't be turning out content. We've got a couple things coming up. Stay tuned into the website. Have a great day. BS all the time.